between Thor and Thor the Dark World, Marvel Studios released 5 short films that they called One Shots. And since I reviewed Thor the Dark World, let's hit pause on the MCU movie reviews and review all 5 One Shots. I'm also not going to give these grades since they're short films and they're budgeted differently, shot differently. I think it would be unfair to grade them on the same system I grade, features. So I'm just going to avoid doing that. At some point, though, I'll do a ranking of all 5, but don't expect a letter or number grade on each one shot. Just my thoughts. There will be spoilers for all 5 of the one shots, so if you want to see them and not have them spoiled by this video, watch them, then come back.
You're talking about the
No, I'm not.
You just described him to a T.
I'm telling you right now, stop it. I am not calling the consultant.
The Consultant released on the Blu-ray for Thor, and this one is without doubt the most simple. It's like they were still getting their bearings on if they could actually do this. It tells a very quick story taking place after Fury's big week, which the events of Iron Man 2, Thor, Incredible Hulk, and the modern-day segments of Captain America all happen within the same week, called Fury's big week. There's actually a pretty good tie-in MCU comic about it. Check it out if you haven't. It's a really good one. I don't care whether you think it's canon or not. It's good. You should read it. So the backstory of the Consultant is that the S.H.I.E.L.D. World Security Council wants Abomination for the Avengers Initiative, and obviously that's a terrible idea. So the one shot picks up with Agent Coulson, who we all know and love, talking with Jasper Sitwell at a restaurant, and there's a pretty funny and well-written conversation that happens. This is one of the only one-shots without any action in it. It's just 3 different conversations, but it's actually better than some of the more action-packed one-shots, you could say, which we'll get to. And this one-shot is basically just an extension of the ending of The Incredible Hulk and a bridge from Iron Man 2. Coulson sends Tony to talk to Ross about the Avengers and the Abomination and all that good stuff, and that's the reason it's called the Consultant, because Fury made Tony a consultant at the end of Iron Man 2. We don't see any more of the conversation, the ending of Incredible Hulk, that last scene in the bar here. We don't see any more of that, but Coulson gives us some details. Tony apparently bought the place after knowing Ross. I think that's cool. It's kind of annoying that we didn't get to see any more of the conversation, but it's understandable since the one-shots already have quite large productions, which you'll notice if you sit through the credits. And they probably didn't want to waste their whole budget paying Robert Downey Jr. and William Hurt to be in a 4-minute short film that released on a Blu-ray. I want to say that this one shot and the one after are the shortest ones, both of them clocking in at about 4 minutes. And one negative I have, besides it not adding anything to that conversation, and really the story for that matter, is that I wish there was something else. The one shot devotes so much time to Coulson explaining the plan and the end of Incredible Hulk. I wouldn't have been upset if they added a couple more minutes. The one shot's over and you feel like you didn't get anything out of it. It's just filler. And it's interesting, but not really fun like some of the other one-shots. Overall, I really like The Consultant. Not the best by any means, doesn't really have a reason to be here. It's definitely not the one I find myself wanting to rewatch, but I like Coulson, so I'll take it. Weirdly enough, this is the only one-shot that's on Disney+. It's on the extras page for Thor. Go check it out.
Excuse me. I also have this gun. You'll probably be needing that.
Put it down! Put it down! Right now!
Okay, don't want any trouble.
A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer was released on the Blu-ray for Captain America the First Avenger, and it's pure Phil Coulson, and I love it. This one is about a moment from Coulson's drive to New Mexico to investigate Mjolnir. On his way to New Mexico, he stops at a gas station. He goes inside to buy himself a snack while his car fills up, and 2 armed men come in to rob the place. We get to see Coulson take him out in a very innovative way. He convinces them to walk to a different aisle so that right after he drops his weapon, he can pick up a bag of flour and just throw it at a guy's face. It ends with him buying powdered and frosted donuts, then getting back in his car to deal with the Mjolnir situation. Hands down, my favorite aspect of this one-shot is how simple it is. The plots for one-shots should be pretty simple, a fun and short storyline that may connect to the larger MCU, but it's mainly just a fun little side adventure. One thing that's always bothered me about this, though, is that S.H.I.E.L.D. sent Coulson from Malibu, California to Puente Antiguo, New Mexico by himself. They couldn't give him a buddy for the road trip. The man had to go by himself. That ain't cool, Fury. A fight that happened on the way Thor's hammer is easily the least story-intensive and the most fun of the one-shots. Those things definitely work well together in a one-shot, and I find myself constantly rewatching this one. It's short, it takes less than 5 minutes, and I'm thoroughly entertained, unlike the next one. I do not like Item 47 at all. It does not have a redeeming aspect to me. Now, this one released on the Avengers Blu-ray, and something interesting about this is I've noticed that every one-shot usually has to do with the film before it, except this one. The Consultant had to do with Hulk and Iron Man 2. Fight that happened on the way, Thor's hammer, released on Captain America, but related to Thor. Later on, like Agent Carter connects to Captain America. All Hail the King connects to Iron Man 3, but this one connects to the movie it was packaged with. Now, this does seem a lot like a backdoor pilot into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, we see Sitwell and Agent Blake just doing S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, both of which were characters that came back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And besides a very short action sequence that should be a lot more fun than it is, this one-shot has nothing going for it. I was never a fan of the acting in this one. I never dug how cheesy it was. It just didn't work. It doesn't have any characters I care about, and it didn't spend any of its time to make me care about those characters. It doesn't have a larger story connection, and certainly isn't fun, so there's no reason to rewatch it. It is 12 minutes, and it's a long 12 minutes. So of any of the reasons to watch a one-shot, this has none of them. But what happens in this one? So this picks up not long after the Battle of New York, and a couple finds a Chitauri arm cannon and decides to use it to rob banks. Now, Agent Jasper Sitwell and Agent Felix Blake learn about the use of the weapon that's codenamed Item 47, and Sitwell goes to pick it up. The fight's not cool. I mean, kind of, but not really. So the couple's in a motel counting money. Little do they know, Sitwell's in the room right next door, and he starts blasting music. The guy goes to talk, and Sitwell beats the crap out of him and his girlfriend. It's short. It doesn't really interest me, though. Anyway, the story ends with Sitwell getting the Chitauri weapon and recruiting the couple to S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a super interesting concept, but I don't like it. On the bright side, we do get to see a bit of what happens when civilians get this kind of tech, which we later saw a full-length film about in Spider-Man Homecoming. They did show us some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but it's bad. So I'm going to move on to the next one now, because the next one's good.
You got a gas leak issue we're dealing with.
A gas leak? Well, no injuries, I hope.
You're not from around here, are you?
No, I live in Brooklyn, actually.
Agent Carter, easily the best one-shot. This released on the Blu-ray for Iron Man 3, and it is fantastic. But funny enough, when I first saw it, I wasn't a huge fan. Then I rewatched it, and then I rewatched it again, and I can say that this is the best one-shot. Has a great story, has fun action, has a great character. It's the longest one-shot, coming in at 15 minutes, and even though it feels like it's 15 minutes, it doesn't drag on. So in this, Agent Carter is working in SSR office building sometime after the events of Captain America: The First Avenger, and all the field work is left to the men while Peggy Carter's stuck behind a desk, until one day all the guys go out for drinks and leave her by herself at the office when a call comes in about a mission. And since there's no one there, Agent Carter deals with it. Now, talk about a backdoor pilot. It's never been officially stated that this was the thing that created the Agent Carter show, but it's so obvious that the show was greenlit because of how much people like this one shot. Peggy Carter never got her own story before this. You can try to argue that she had one in Captain America, but in this, I mean, she fully gets her own story. And in 15 minutes, the MCU took Peggy from love interest, yet someone who can still kick a lot of ass, to a fan favorite character. Who doesn't like Peggy Carter? And this one-shot puts sexism at its forefront. In the late 40s, men obviously ruled the world, and at a government agency, they would, of course, get to do all the cool stuff. And I think that was a smart play for this one-shot, because it quickly sets up that Peggy's not supposed to do what she's doing, and people don't really appreciate her, so you immediately root for her to succeed. Yeah, this has great action. It's really unique. Peggy has to break into a warehouse to get something, so we get a few rounds of fights to go with it. First one, she appears as a friend, then takes out two dudes before the guy up front even sees. Then she takes out a few more guys, and then my favorite part of the one-shot happens. There's a guy hiding behind a metal door, and she shoots the same spot on the door over and over until she makes a clean hole in it. And then she throws a smoke bomb through the door, where she then fights this Zodiac guy. And I like that she struggles. She barely wins this fight, so they didn't make her a Mary Sue. Good job, Marvel. Thank you for that. And if you've seen the Agent Carter show, that carries on. I mean, Peggy's pretty strong in that show. She's pretty solid, but she's not immortal. She gets her ass kicked a lot in that show, just like she does in this one shot. And the ending's hilarious. Howard Stark calls and says that Agent Carter is going to help start S.H.I.E.L.D. with him, and then the sexist SSR director has to congratulate her and help her clean out her desk. Overall, really solid story. It never tied back into the larger MCU, but it doesn't have to. It's just a fun side adventure, but it's a very well written and good side adventure.
Because we need to know, once and for all, who is Trevor Slattery?
All Hail the King was the final one-shot the MCU made. The reason they stopped making them, just to go on a tangent, is because they said it takes a lot of time and resources to set it up and film it, which I get, but I really like the one-shots. If they kept doing it and had released one on every Blu-ray, I wouldn't be upset. We did get another short film that was a bunch of deleted scenes from Far From Home edited together, and that was really good, but I'll talk about that when I do my re-review of Spider-Man Far From Home. So, All Hail the King released on the Blu-ray for Thor the Dark World, and this one is the one that really ties into the MCU. This is the one that everyone needs to watch. So this picks up sometime after the events of Iron Man 3, and it is about Trevor Slattery, the fake Mandarin, being interviewed by Jackson Norris. Easily the best aspect of the one-shot is Trevor Slattery. This character, who everyone had thoughts on because of what happened in Iron Man 3, steals the show in this. He acts like his normal idiotic self, and then he just flips to Mandarin mode to show off to people. He has a following, he has a bodyguard in prison. Everyone idolizes him, except Justin Hammer, who's also there. And here's hoping Justin Hammer shows up in Armor Wars. There is not action in this one except for like a couple seconds. There really isn't anything in this besides people talking, and that kind of works for something short like The Consultant, but you would maybe expect a little more in this since it's 14 minutes, but it works for two reasons. One, it's very well written, and two, the power of one Sir Benjamin Kingsley gives it so much life. Such a fun one-shot, and it makes me laugh multiple times. I think my only issue with this is that it goes on a few minutes too long. There's some stuff they could have cut. We probably didn't need to see the cafeteria scene. The interview was definitely the highlight. Stuff other than that could have just been mentioned in the interview. Instead of explaining Trevor's bodyguard, you could have him say something like, "What can I say? These boys like me," and then that explains why he has a bodyguard. And that he's super popular in prison. They devote a bit too much screen time for something that really didn't need screen time. Now let's talk about the reason that this ties to the MCU. Because this one shot confirms that Aldrich Killian wasn't the real Mandarin either, and Trevor Slattery is going to be taken by Norris, who's also revealed to be a Ten Rings member, to meet the real Mandarin. Now, 7 years later, we finally get a payoff to that because we will see Tony Leung play the Mandarin in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Well, guys, there you go. That is my official review. Those are my thoughts on all 5 of the MCU's one-shots. At some point soon, I'll put out a ranking for all of them, but as I mentioned, I'm not going to give them grades because I think it would be unfair for something that's formatted, shot, and budgeted differently than the normal stuff that I'm reviewing. So have you seen all 5 one-shots? What did you think about them? Let me know your thoughts. You can even rank them down in the comments below if you want. Also leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ, and go watch All Hail the King. That's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.